here's like the frustrating part for me, right? Especially with all this red pill converting to Islam. They go to Dubai, which is like Islam for tourists. They don't know anything about this religion that they're converting to. They have no values. They don't even live good like Muslim lives. They don't know anything about it. But then it's like, okay, well, I look at them and, you know, they're retarded, but they're happy. You know, they've got like a new dude to follow. They've got a bunch of celebrities that they can worship now. They've got like some basic organizing principles for their life. They've got like some, I want to tread woman and family. It's like, okay, like it might be retarded, but like at the end of the day, it seems like they're better off for it, right? And then I have to look at the other end, and we've got all these like postmodern, quasi-nihilistic, whatever the progressives, no religion, blah, 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 and they're all miserable. They don't want families, not even for good reasons. They just like, everything's just like and it's like, okay, well, these are the hyper liberal people, and the cool thing about liberalism is that you have the ability to explore and find your own meaning, but I'm wondering maybe most people are too retarded to actually do that. What is like your general like contentedness level with life? Do you feel like pretty happy, or do you feel like not as happy? Or I guess in general, we kind of talked about this, I think like the first or second time we've spoken to each other.
Yeah, I'm saying on average an 8 out of 10 happy, and I have permanent inner peace.
Do you think that that's pretty rare for people that don't have like a spiritual background?
I would say it is probably slightly more rare. I did a bunch of interviews with people who like claimed something around the word enlightenment, and a lot of them, there were some people who said they experienced it spontaneously. Like my guess is like a particular biological state that like is kind of correlated with the spiritual practice, but can occasionally happen without one.
Do you, I think, I linked you that article about did I link you that big article about like the conservatives are happy or the liberals or whatever?
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, something that I'm kind of like honing in on is it feels like people in general need some like higher order guiding principle to feel that having that like provides like this whole host of other things. It gives you like adversity against like events that suck. It gives you the motivation to like push through in life, to like be a better person. It can help you like organize like principles around like families and community and everything. It seems like a really important thing. I guess there's kind of like two questions I have. The first one is, I don't feel like I have that, I don't feel like I have like any spirituality. I'm like very much an atheist, but I'm very much like okay with that. And I feel like I don't need that for that higher order thing. And I'm curious why. And I guess the second question is like, I'm trying to find other people that have that are also atheists. And I'm trying to figure out like, what's the difference there? Like, why is it that some people don't feel like they need that? Like what is happening?
Well, you're using the term like spirituality and atheism like they're opposites. They seem kind of just orthogonal to me, right?
Really? I disagree, but go ahead.
Like I was actually just having this conversation right before I came here. Because I was like venting about like a woo person, and people were like, "But Aella, are you not woo?" And I was like, "No." The difference to me is like what are like predictive beliefs or non-predictive beliefs. Like you can have a meaning-making system that doesn't actually result in predictive beliefs about the world, which I think is the thing that I have. Like, like you can like have some sort of like relationship to why you're doing a thing that is not like it's not something that's testable by science. Whereas a lot of things that religious people believe are in fact testable by science.
Sure, I understand what you're saying there, but I'm saying that for a religious person or atheist person to develop that seems to be exceedingly difficult. Like maybe to such a level that I'm starting to wonder if it's stupid to expect most people to be able to.
But, okay, wait, to just like pin down what you're saying a little more clearly, like we have a small we actually use, what's the term? Is it mesa optimizer in AI? We have like you have like small mini ways that you create meaning, right? Like people have kids and then they like tolerate a bunch of like things that the kids do, or your life in the kid framework is defined by the meanness of having children. Like you clean your vomit and you're okay with it because you love them.
Well, that's
right?
true. Yeah, that is true. The kids one I don't like as much though, because I feel like that comes so much later in life. I'm trying to think of like these principles that you could start to develop and have around like, I don't know, like 9, 10, 11, 12 years of age that would like lead you into those like kid-bearing years. Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm trying to point at like a general principle. Like I don't care about that. I'm just saying that there are like ways that non-religious people create meaning in like a smaller like pod. Yeah,
of course.
So non-religious people are very capable of doing this already. So what is the level of meaning that you're talking about here?
Some like very like abstracted like general meaning of life. Can you ask me a more specific question?
Okay, just to like calibrate. If I'm like, why do I have a job? Is this what you're talking about?
Well, a little bit, but I guess that why is kind of ambiguous, huh?
Like, why?
What is like
why do I exist?
Like, yeah, or what is the purpose that people get out of bed every morning? What is the purpose to push through suffering? Like, what is the ultimate like purpose of your life? Like those types of things.
Yeah. And you're saying that religious people have this, and I think this is true. I think religious people have this a lot more than non-religious people.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like conservatives in general, even outside specifically of areas of religiosity, I think they also have this. So for instance, in the United States, like a lot of conservatives are like patriotic or nationalistic or, you know, like community driven. And these are like principles that they can kind of like organize their life around. Like, my country's awesome, you know, and I'm going to, you know, I love being American, and like I can be a millionaire if I just believe, and blah, blah, blah. Whereas liberals, especially in the United States, especially progressives, seem to define themselves in like way more negative terms, right? Like, I can't take credit for everything. It's all systemic racism. I don't believe in God. Like, there's no purpose for anything. Everything is absurd and nihilistic.
So wait, minus the God thing for a second. You said that conservatives have patriotism, and this kind of sounds like the bubble of a kid thing, but just larger. Are you saying that conservatives have just larger meaning bubbles on average?
It seems like it, yeah, that are more encompassing to the overall direction of their life, yeah.
Yeah, and you're saying the bigger the meaning bubble is, like the better impacts it seems to have on mental health?
It seems like it, yeah. That's what it feels like.
Do you have a meaning bubble?
I don't think so. Or like I do, but like my meaning bubble is like there are things that make me happy, and I feel like a great sense of like purpose and accomplishment and achievement, like going after those things, and like that's enough for me. But I don't know why, but for some reason that seems to give me like a great contentedness with life, but that doesn't seem to be enough for everybody. I think I'm like I'm not trying to self-aggrandize, but I think I'm like the model liberal, where it's like, oh, like I am like super individualistic. I don't feel like I need to belong to larger groups, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, like that kind of person. But I do get like a great sense of like contentness and happiness from it.
Yeah, this is true. I'm detecting some confusion in myself.
Okay.
Like the meaning bubble concept. Like maybe there's something like meaning bubbles provide greater thing. But then also there's a thing where it's like, are we not just talking about depression? Like, is it maybe the answer is just some like liberals eat a bad diet, and then this like makes their brain misfire, and then we're just sort of post-rationalizing that this is supposedly like, oh, a big meaning thing, when really they just need more like iron or something.
No, I don't think so. Yeah,
but like, you know, like I'm trying to like point towards something like this. Like maybe the answer is like kind of mundane.
I don't feel like it. I feel like the answer is like pretty important.
The thing is, like, I kind of like agree, and so this is why I'm, because like the article that you sent was the conservative one. That was a really good one, and I feel persuaded by it. And so this is kind of at odds with, I'm noticing some other models of my world view, so maybe I'm missing something.
Well, I guess for the process of you like being content, like when did you like how old were you when you feel like you had like contentedness? Was this like a deliberate process? Did it just kind of come like naturally, or what?
It was during the year I took a shit ton of LSD.
Okay. Did you feel like you made any like particular insights on LSD, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's just self-acceptance. Like, it's sort of like you blow up your brain to become very large, and then you become very small inside of your own thought process, and then you get to like sort of like observe it in very fine detail. And then I was like, oh, if I observe my entire being in very fine detail, it turns out that I'm actually fine. You know?
Yeah, that's like a thing that you did, but I'm trying to figure out like the why or the how, I guess, right? Because for instance, like if an average person took LSD, do you think everybody's going to come away with that?
No, I mean, people are very different on LSD.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we have like a couple different questions mixed up. Like one, there's like, are you okay? And another is like, why do you exist?
Yeah, kind of. But I feel like that "are you okay" thing seems to be like downstream from the faith question. Oh God. I have to figure out how long this movie is playing in the background. Hold on, this is actually driving me insane. 1 second.
Okay.
Jesus, it's like explosions like behind me. Jesus. Okay, sorry. Okay, I feel like the being okay thing I think is really downstream from the other thing that you said. Sorry, say the second two things.
The meaning thing.
Yeah, from the meaning thing.
Is it,
so like,
am I okay, or like, why do I exist?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like if you have like a why for the reason that you exist, then it feels like you can be okay with a lot of things. Maybe like an example of this. Do you remember when we brought up the thing, how some people might be more okay, like not more okay. Some people might cope with the aftermath of getting better than others, and like one intuitive answer might be that like a more liberalized person might be okay with it, but an unintuitive answer might be that actually a conservative person might be okay with it because they think like, well, the world's shitty and this is how things happen, and like I actually accept that. Whereas there can be like unintuitive ways to get to that answer too. It's kind of like, it's similar to that like if you've got these like organizing principles of, I keep going back to faith because it's like God is like the easiest like all-in-one package to like feel that out, right? It gives you like all of your ethical questions, all your metaphysical questions, like all your purpose, all of that is answered there. That if you have that principle to organize around, there's like, it feels like you get so much tenacity from that.
Interestingly, it's like often like the religious explanation for existence is often correlated with you not being okay. Like when I believed in God, that was the greatest amount of personal shame I experienced. And I think this is very common for a lot of religions.
Do you think so?
Yes, very much. Because like religions like operate. Okay, I have to figure out how to like explain this because I've been like doing the crazy conspiracy red line board in my brain about the religion thing for a bit. And wait, what was I saying?
You said that for you, religion was a source of shame rather than a source of like tenacity or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, religions are they're like, the function of religions are not to provide internal happiness to their members. Like they're sort of self-propagating. Like if you belong to the religion, you're more likely to survive. They're top level memes, and usually this comes by being like you are broken in some way, and by adherence to this belief system, you achieve salvation. This is very common across all sort of religions, even like Buddhism, I think, where it's like you are inadequate and you require the addition to the collective adherence to the belief structure, which like makes you a very cohesive group. Because if you give people entire autonomy on like the individual level, if you make somebody actually okay, they no longer like require adherence to the group to be okay.
Yeah, but do you think that like similar to like, you know how like some people well, hold on, I was about to make a crazy analogy. Don't you think that like enough people aren't okay such that like religion can kind of luck into describing that anyway?
What do you mean?
That like, I mean, like a lot of people aren't okay, right? And it can be hard to figure out the answer to why. And like, oh, well, religion just tells me that I've got like original sin, or there's like part of the devil in me, and I need to do this thing to figure that out. Like even if the reasons given are ultimately unverifiable and stupid, like it can still give somebody like a great deal of meaning, right?
Yeah, but like it also like requires that you stay broken. It's kind of like maybe a pharmaceutical company giving you medicine. Like you come to it because you're sick, but it's also in the company's incentive that you stay sick.
I feel like that's not true. Do you think that this is going to come down hyper...
To be fair, I'm like relatively pro pharmaceutical companies, but
yeah, I feel like this is going to come down really hardcore to like our individual interpretation of, or rather maybe our personal experience in a religious environment. Because I wouldn't say that like a good religious experience is requiring you to stay broken, right? Maybe like in the most like cult-like sense of the word, some people might push for that, but I think that people will say that like, oh, like you're on a journey towards God, and you might not be perfect, but like you're making progress. Like it's better to try than to not try at all or something. No.
What do you mean by religious then?
Like religion and all the stuff that's associated with religion.
Okay, that's very vague.
Okay, so earlier I said that like...
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, religion, just the beliefs in God themselves is not enough. That's like the theology part is the boring part. The overall life thing is that like if I believe in God, with that belief comes a sense of purpose. It comes a goal, like a morality that I should build towards. It's a guiding principle for how to organize my life, right? I communicate with my community. I participate in activities. I try to have a family. It gives me explanations for why things are bad sometimes. God is testing me. Life isn't always fair because of the devil and works for people, blah blah blah. That it gives me a way to cope with all of these like adverse things in reality, and it gives me a way to like strive for happy things in my life. And I feel like, well, fuck, if this is what God wants me to do, like it's not even just that I'm having kids or just that I'm donating to churches. I'm actually doing things that are like giving me like this deeper sense of spiritual fulfillment as well. I guess when I talk about religion, I'm talking about like all of those things, not necessarily just the like Aquinas arguments and for the existence of God or something, right?
Okay, so I think that thing you described can apply to the thing that I am or have. I don't consider myself to be religious. So probably this means we're using religion in two different ways.
Possibly,
The term.
And I agree with what you're saying, that you can have that as a person, but it seems without religion, it seems like it's very, 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 very hard to develop that. Back to the point to where, like, I don't know if, like, it's to be expected that normal people can.
Okay, wait. You're using religion as a term to indicate. Wait, can we just taboo the word religion? Like,
Sure.
You're using the word, taboo word to indicate like just a
Okay, you can't taboo the word and then say taboo word.
I know, but I'm trying to actually say the thing it is, though.
Okay, sure. When I say religion, I'm talking about like a collection of epistemic, ethical, and metaphysical statements. That's what I'm talking about when I say religion. Is that too broad, or?
Okay, yeah, that seems like necessary in order to have meaning.
Okay.
Yeah, then I think I agree with you.
You think you do agree with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wait, so what?
I think I was interpreting your use of religion in like the more classical sense.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like, it's the classical religions that give people those things, but broadly speaking, I think that's the healthy part of the religion. It's the collection of epistemic, metaphysical, and ethical, like, tenets that you basically just absorb from whatever religion you're part of. What?
Wait, you just defined religion as that set of things, and then you said that is the healthy part of religion. Are you saying that there's another part that you're referring to?
When I talk about religion,
when
I talk about religion, that's like the important part I'm talking about. I mean, theoretically, you could say, well, the important part of religion is studying for like the historical arguments for Jesus Christ or like the existence of God. But I don't think those things are important. Obviously, I don't even think those things are real. But those things don't have to be real, obviously, for all the other parts to be baked in. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so can we use a term like the good religion subset or something to refer to what you're talking about?
Sure, we can call it spirituality broadly if you want.
Okay, sure. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Am I supposed to take the next sentence?
What's the question? What are we doing? What are we doing on this planet right now?
Well, that seems to be the question, right? What I'm trying to figure out, here's what I'm wondering, okay? Is if atheism is a bullshit guide for life because most people are too worthless to figure out how to exist without a guy in a robe telling them what to do. That's essentially my question. And I feel like the answer to that is
confusion of concepts, though.
What?
Like you just defined spirituality as a thing, which is like a set of like ethical and moral, whatever, metaphysical beliefs that provides meaning.
Yeah.
And then, but the opposite of this thing is like what, guy in robes? Like this seems.
Yeah, because people have to go to some religious institution to get all of these things. That seems to be the case. That's what I'm wondering. If it doesn't have to be that way.
Okay, I feel like I'm in. So atheism feels like it falls to me under the predictive category. Like atheism is a system that says like I predict that if we, I don't know, perform some sort of like ideal test, we will discover that there is God. Like if we get the absolute AI that's the truth teller to tell us, it will tell us there is no God. Like that's what that's doing. But it's a completely different thing from spirituality. It's like not even the same like framework. It's not the layer of like thought. Two different planes of existence. Does this make sense? Should I like try and?
I mean, it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like I'm talking about like all of the things that you get from religion, and you're talking about atheism is just like a statement about like a fact of the universe, so you don't see how these two things connect, right?
Yeah, you can like make a prediction that no, I'm not going to find a guy in white robes, and also have like a system of ethical meaning.
I guess I'm not really talking about religion or atheism. I'm talking about like all the second order things that seem to be abstracted from those two things.
Okay.
So like if you're an atheist, it seems like you might tend to not have these good epistemic, metaphysical, or ethical answers to life. If you are religious, it seems like you do have these good epistemic, metaphysical, and ethical answers to life.
What do you think that atheists currently have as their answer?
Nothing.
What do you have?
A whole set of things, but I'm not the problem, because I think I'm an atheist and I'm happy. But it feels like most people that are in my position are miserable. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Most Christians I know are miserable also.
But not compared to atheists. I don't think so. I don't think they're as miserable They're not like running
Yeah, this
around
is
on
true.
college campuses, piercing their ears and identifying as non-binary furries, and then like killing themselves because somebody misgendered them when they're not even really trans on Twitter. Like, I think that they're starting to get like worlds apart in terms of like what's going on. Like, if I get into an argument with somebody on Twitter and I look at their profile and they've got written like depressed, like cutter, third suicide attempt, like, oh, I'm arguing with a progressive. Like, I know that every single time, you know. And yeah, I think that's a problem. I agree that lots of people are miserable, lots of people are unhappy. There are like societal-wide problems. That's absolutely true. But I think it feels like there is a divergence between like the happiness in general of like progressives and conservatives. And I think there is some, it's not a slam dunk argument, and it's a little disingenuous, but there is a little bit of emotional legitimacy to the idea of like, why is a progressive telling me, you know, how to live my life when the number one reason they're against gun control is because if they had one, they'd probably kill themselves, right? I think that's the difference. I think it's an issue.
You're gonna go to a protest with that.
Yeah. But I guess like in the broad sense, so here's like the frustrating part for me, right? Especially with all this red pill shit. I see all these retarded Western losers converting to Islam. They go to Dubai, which is like Islam for tourists. They don't know anything about this dog shit religion that they're converting to. They have no values. They don't even live good like Muslim lives. They don't know anything about it. But then it's like, okay, well, I look at them and, you know, they're retarded, but they're happy. You know, they've got like a new dude to follow. They've got a bunch of celebrities that they can worship now. They've got like some fucking basic organizing principles for their life. They've got like some, oh, I want a tried woman and family. It's like, okay, like it might be retarded, but like at the end of the day, it seems like they're better off for it, right? And then I have to look at the other end, and we've got all these like postmodern, quasi-nihilistic, whatever the progressives, no religion, blah, 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 and they're all miserable. They don't want families, not even for good reasons. They just like, everything is just like f***ed. And it's like, okay, well, these are the hyper liberal people. And the cool thing about liberalism is that you have the ability to explore and find your own meaning. But I'm wondering, maybe most people are too retarded to actually do that. Or is there like a better way to organize? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, did you see the Nexium documentaries? Did I already ask you this?
I don't think I have.
The Nexium documentary is about the cult. Do you know about the cult at all? Any basic facts?
Yeah, I think one of the women reached out to me to talk to me about it for some reason. I don't think I saw that.
Yeah. Okay, so I did talk to you a little bit about it. But basically, in this, like, you watch the cult and it's like, they're subjecting these women to a bunch of really horrific things. And then the women just talk about their experience, and it's filled with such like glowing reviews. Like, this is so incredible. And I was really stuck on this question, like, on what basis are we able to tell these people that it's wrong? And there's some value that I figured out that I had, which was something like increased agency or increased choice, which feels sort of
Wait, your thing just cut out. Increased agency and increased what?
Choice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like the people in the Nexium thing had that, or you feel like you have that not being in the cult? Like, you're trying to figure out what's
they didn't.
Okay.
Right, so they were reporting being very happy, but they had significantly reduced agency.
Yeah. I feel like...
Which is like... There's in my circles, there's like some kind of slightly weird philosophers that I'm suspicious of, but one of the things that they like to say a lot is love is that which enables choice. Like, to love someone is to find out what the core of their being is, and like kind of expand this. Like, what is their will? What is that part of your sensation of consciousness that is choice, which is basically all of it. I think this is what the sensation of being a person is. And like, make this as large as possible. This is kind of like a hippie thing to say, I don't know, but this rings something true with me. Does it with you?
No, I used to think so, but I think it's actually not true. The way that I view this is, I think people feel like they want the freedom to make choices, but I think that what they actually want is the freedom to make the correct choice. And they want to feel like they're making the right choice, but they don't actually need the maximum amount of choices. I actually feel like the more choices you put in front of somebody, like consistently, the more miserable that person will be, and that it will always like be that case. If people don't actually want an infinite amount of choices, they just want like a couple things to choose between, and they want to feel like they're empowered to make the best choice possible, but that's it.
Yeah, I think that this is true. Like, there's a thing of like choice paralysis, and I notice like I'm often unhappy when I'm shopping on websites that have way more options. I think this is a true thing. And also, I notice that I have the belief that love is that which enables choice, and now I don't know if I'm thinking about two separate concepts or if I actually just covered an inconsistency in my thinking.
Yeah. I think, like, going by what you just said, like, buying a laptop was one of the hard. I know so much about tech and computers and all that. But buying a laptop was like one of the hardest choices of my life because it feels like you have like 5 different categories and you can only do well in 2. And it was so confusing. I've wanted to buy a new car for like 2 or 3 years, and every time I look, I can't do it because there's so many choices. I feel like these are just like minor, small, stupid things. But it's like, yeah, in that advent of things, like just having like unlimited choice of, or actually maybe more personal to you, if you were like in a small community and you had to choose like a good husband, you know, maybe there's only like a small selection of like suitable bachelors for you. But now that you're literally traveling the world and talking to a million people, I imagine for you, the comparisons in your mind are probably a lot broader since you've got so much access to people around the world. Go ahead.
I'm trying to figure if this is actually the thing I'm talking. It might be the thing I'm talking about, but maybe. So when I like I'm mulling on the sensation of choice that I'm thinking about, it feels something like I'm a glowing sun, and there is some sort of like big block sitting on one side of me, and I remove that block. That's the sensation I'm talking about. Like in an outpouring of expression and creativity, and sort of like a removal of shame. Like shame is sort of like, do not be this way or do not act in this way. Don't think that. And like removing it feels like have greater capacity or something. And this is, I'm like trying to figure out this concept that I'm referring to, or the sensation is like just another version of the same sensation that you're talking about with like choosing a laptop. I can't tell.
One thing that I kind of wonder, I guess maybe on the same vein, you can talk to me if you feel this way or not, is I kind of wonder if the choice thing doesn't feel good, because I'm not trying to tip too hard, I swear to God. But in some ways, I kind of feel like choices are illusions, and that we don't actually know what we want. So we need somebody to give us a few options, and then we can choose from there, and then we can figure out what we want. But given like unlimited choices, a person would never know because they need to kind of like be on rails a little bit. You know? Does that make sense?
Would you like to go to jail?
Wait. Can you say that again? I'm sorry. Your mic cuts in and out sometimes.
Would you like to go to jail?
No.
So, would you not be happier with fewer options?
I wouldn't be happy with the options in jail, right? But I think there's something to be said for the idea that I think that there are some people who would say that, like, I don't want to go to jail because I want the freedom to live my life. But the freedom of their life might be work from home, League of Legends, and porn for 10 years, right? And that's like, they have freedom, but like, do they, right?
I was saying I went to a summer, like a Christian Bible thing camp when I was a kid, and I hated the thought because it was so scheduled. I was like, I really don't want to go there. This is not the way I want to live my life. And then I went there, and it was fantastic. So maybe you would actually like jail.
Wait, no. I think I am one of the people that likes, in general, like I like a lot of choice and a lot of freedom.
Okay.
But that's because like, this is a better combo off stream. I actually hate talking about these stupid fucking things in front of everybody. But I'll be as tippy as right now because I don't give a fuck. I don't
Why?
mind
because
all of.
Yell at you?
No, because I think that most people are fucking boring fucking losers. They can't figure out how to do anything without like a ton of peer pressure and social pressure around them. And I'm not like that. But then when I talk like that, obviously it sounds really tippy, but it's just fucking annoying, right?
Sounds like you enjoy being angry.
No, I don't enjoy being angry. It's just an annoying conversation to have in public. I don't need like social approval to do the things that I'm doing. Like I think that I am incredibly unique there. But I think that most people feel like they need like a ton of social validation for the choices that they make. So when we talk about like, do you need choices or do you want choices? Do you want freedom? Blah, blah, blah. I think that most people don't want unlimited freedom because unlimited freedom might mean actually doing something that other people aren't doing. And most people can't have that. They'll self-destruct. Right? It's why when we talk about like, oh, do you want freedom? Do you want choice? Choose like the best consumerist product that every other person wants. It's never actually advocating for you to do anything unique with your life. It's just advocating for you to do the thing that everybody else wishes they could do. It's like you be like the most unique by being the most conformist of like the highest quality product that everybody else wants. Right? Like even all of counterculture eventually like subsumes all of this to where like the counterculture ends up being assimilated into the culture. And now like your countercultural things are the things that everybody in the counterculture wants. You know, like who's the most goth, the most scene, the most emo. It's like all still like the same types of competitive games of like just signaling for social approval, I feel.
Wait, you're saying that in general, people want a small amount of choices, and this is exemplified by things like you just give people the popular option?
Kind of. Or it's not that people want a small amount of choices. It's that people need the choices because without the choices, they wouldn't know what they'd want at all.
Oh, like it's like the thing where I make it sound like it's your idea?
A little bit. Like, let's say that I'm asking you, like, okay, you are now you're given free reign in a fashion designer warehouse, and you can design whatever clothing you want. You've got the ability to do whatever you want. Welcome, this is your dream. And maybe some guy that's really into fashion or something will be like, oh, this is awesome. But like at the end of the day, that person is not going to be happy in that scenario because he doesn't want the ability to design anything. He wants to choose the most popular design that everybody else wants, but maybe can't afford, right? So given unlimited freedom there, that's actually not a good decision for him. He would feel bad because he doesn't want to design something unique that nobody else has or wants because it doesn't feel good to have that thing. So at the end of the day, the only choices you want are, okay, well here, you can choose between these two things that like everybody else wants or is going after. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I can choose. I want to choose the thing that everybody else wants. So you're getting these quote unquote choices, but not really. It's more just like somebody's giving you a decision tree and you get to pick which path to follow.
I think I understand vaguely what you're saying, but I don't understand how it relates to the core question about choice that we were having originally.
Because when it comes to choosing, like, what is your purpose for life? I think that's a really hard question to answer. Or how do I figure out what things I believe are true and real? That's a really hard question. Or what do I feel like is right or wrong? Those are really difficult questions to answer. But if you're religious, you get all of those things for free. You don't have to think about them a single time in your entire life. Or you think about them, but the way that you think about them is through the lens of your religion. And then you've got a ton of spiritual guidance from teachers and everything and history to help you.
Yeah, that seems true to me.
Yeah, so
I think it's like, I think there's a lot less existential dread. Like, for example, after I lost my faith, which I think was a good move, I then experienced a lot of existential dread because I had all of these options suddenly open to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really unpleasant.
Yeah, for a while. But now I'm wondering if, like, do most people just never get out of that? Or to go back to my, like, very original question, it's like, what is the... what is, like, is it reasonable to expect most people to be able to work through that? Or is that just an unreasonable request, you know?
I think, like, our atheist religion right now is everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, but that ends up being nothing, right? Because it can't be everything, because then it just feels like nothing, right? That's what it seems like.
What?
Like, given an infinite set of choices, people will choose nothing. They'll just get, like, paralyzed in fear and then just feel like shit. They don't actually.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like.
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like I keep feeling like we're like confusing some concepts here, but I can't figure out where it's happening. Like, okay, when I am sitting and I have choice paralysis, like there's too many laptops. Mm-hmm. What happens is I look at one laptop, I think, oh, that looks good, and then I get filled with fear that I am missing out on a better option because, like, my goal is to have the best, right? And so as soon as I pick one, I'm like worried that I have no guarantee that I have in fact made my goal. Mm-hmm. Like there's always this like uncertainty, mm-hmm. And this is where the unpleasantness and the paralysis comes from. It comes from like. Am I making sense?
Sure. How is that? Wait, is like this? When you're, yeah, do you feel like this is at ends with something I've said earlier, or go for it?
I don't know. I started wanting to articulate this a while ago, and I forget exactly why. But there's some. I'm trying to like articulate why decision paralysis feels bad. Mm-hmm. Like, what about it about too many choices? And like, it comes from like, oh, I want the best, and I can never actually know if I have the best. So it's like you're having a goal.
Well, I think you're centering this around like having the best, but I think the average person's fear is whether or not they're choosing anything good at all. It's not even like, oh God, like I might not be choosing. Yes, because I feel like.
Can you give a concrete example?
Sure. Like, how do we figure out like what's right or wrong? I guess like questions of morality. So the three areas I keep hitting at are epistemically, so people don't know how to figure out what's true or false. Ethically, people don't know how to figure out what's right or wrong. And then metaphysically, people don't know how to figure out what are the things that they believe in like exist, right? Like, is there like a heaven or hell, or the Big Bang, like, or like where do humans come from? Kind of these like ontological questions, I guess, is part of metaphysics.
Okay, so you're saying that like people are like, for example, I want to figure out if my action is moral, and they don't know how. So it's binary. They're like, I don't. It's not like they're like, I want to make the best moral option. You're just like, they don't know whether or not it like crosses the threshold of moral.
They don't. That threshold doesn't exist for them. They don't even have a foundation of which to ask the question.
Is this true?
I mean, that's what it feels like.
Maybe it's true. I don't know. I'm just like confused.
So here's like a good question, right? When we look at trans stuff, how do we figure out what's right or wrong there for a progressive? I feel like there's no stop sign, there's no speed limit, there's no nothing. Initially, it was like trans people are real things that need to get medical attention. Then it became anybody can be trans if you want them to be. Then it became there's no such thing as gender or anything. Then it became like trans women are actually biological women. And now it's like trans kids can exist and it's okay if everybody wants to be trans and gender doesn't mean anything. Because there's no breaks. There's no epistemic or metaphysical foundation to any of these concepts. They'll say that it's all academic, but it's not. It's boundless because it seems like there's no foundational thing. I'm good, thank you. Or thank you very much. Thank you, Mel.
That sounds just like an epistemic error, which like religions are also. But okay, are you saying that religions have like more built-in foundations that have evolved through evolution that like prevents like random runaway shit?
Well, no, I'm saying that it's epistemically baseless. Like at the very least, religion could say, well, this is wrong, right? Like a progressive can't even say anything is right or wrong because it's like you said, it's like everything everywhere all at once. There's everything is okay. So, nothing. Yeah.
I agree that the concept of morality, as most people adhere to it, is like incoherent. I agree. Mm-hmm. And this leads to like a lot of like really fucky shit when you get to like the gray area edges.
Sure.
Like for example, the issue. Yeah.
I mean, I would say it starts to leak into a ton of areas, but yeah.
I mean, it's mostly visible. It's like more visible in the places where it's like on the edges, the things that we haven't figured out yet. Like nobody's like really arguing whether or not it's like immoral to kill babies, and like the vast majority of our moral landscape is stuff that's already settled, and thus we don't even notice it.
Well, I mean, I could fight with you on the kill babies thing over like the abortion thing a little bit. I don't know how mainstream the idea. What?
It's a bad example of that.
Sure.
Because
I was going to argue that there are like some progressives that would say like you should be able to abort a third trimester baby or whatever, which the majority of people would find abhorrent. But yeah.
A lot of my friends that are not religious are interested in like forming some sort of religion substitute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like is necessary. Like some other construct by which to like hoist your life upon so that you don't have to like do the hard work of figuring out all of the little minor or major, I guess, like organizing principles of your life, right? The ethical, the metaphysical, and the epistemic foundations. Like, yeah.
At some degree, I suppose this is where like the neo-trad movement is coming from. People are like, okay, we want a foundation and there's just no alternative. And so they have to go back to like the trad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's like where a lot of the people are running to Islam or back to Christianity or the trad shit is because now they've basically ventured out into murky waters that are uncharted, and it's to figure out like where to go from there is like a really difficult thing, I think, for most people. That's what I'm like settling on, is that like that concept of like, oh my God, you're free to choose whatever you want. It's like, okay, well, I don't know what I want at all. I need like somebody to just tell me what I want. Like that seems to be an easier thing for most people. Yeah.
Wait, so how do you justify your existence?
I don't think I need to, but I'm okay like living like with a little bit of absurdity. Like I think that's okay. Like that I don't seem to have like great distress from that.
Yeah. I think like I figured it out and you figured it out or something. And probably whatever we've done is like might be good to spread to help people as an alternative to the neo-trad thing.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's true. That's the problem. I don't know if it is good to spread that because I don't know if most people can do that. That might be like that might just be a dumb idea for most people.
Like that's the polyamory for relationships?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you should make a cult.
Yeah, true, maybe. I'm thinking about this because I've got like a debate soon with Milo Yiannopoulos over like Christian nationalism, and then I see like all these loser like red pill dudes and like this like everybody online is like dick sucking like Islam at the moment, and as I see like all this stuff going on, like I'm trying to think in my head like it's not good enough for me to just like tear down these things. Like I have to be able to provide an alternative, but it feels like the alternative of like guys, like it's okay that life doesn't have like some objective meaning. You don't have to feel shit about that. It seems like most people just like, well, actually I do feel shit about that. Like I need like a fairy in the sky to tell me that like I'm here for a reason and all my suffering has meaning and like the things I do are actually good and somebody's signing off on it. Like people seem to need that. There's some space in the head that needs to be filled by, you know, like a god dude telling you that you're doing okay. That seems to be really important to people.
It also seems like okay to be in a transition. Like if you're in a house and your house just got knocked down, it's okay that you just kind of make a shack first. You're like, well, I don't know how to build a house yet, but I'm trying. Like, it seems like a very reasonable step to take. Like, I don't think you need a viable alternative, because like I think you're arguing that the house is knocked down. Like, the trad thing is not viable anymore.
Well, but that's what people are trying to go back to, because right now it seems like the progressive thing is not viable. Like, people don't feel good having like aimless, purposeless, directionless life. Like, that's just not cutting it for people. And when I can show you like a barefoot woman who's pregnant her whole life, and then a guy that works a job, like, that just feels like so much better for most people.
Right, but it's not like the rates of religion are still dropping really fast overall.
True, but is that like a good thing? I don't actually know. I mean, I would say it is like.
I think it's inevitable. It's just the house is getting knocked down by technology. I think we're post scarcity. This is the thing that's causing it. Like,
what do you mean by post scarcity?
Like the things, the conditions that under which evolution evolved are no longer here. Like, a lot of religion centers around mate guarding, for example. Like, do not cheat, be a virgin until marriage, all of this shit, which is like comes from like we want to be, know who the father is of your child, because if you have sex you get pregnant. But now sex no longer equals pregnancy, and probably soon we'll have artificial wombs, which means that like women no longer are going to be like required to be actually sacrificing time and effort. And we have AI. I don't know, I feel like we're just gonna hit the singularity soon, and there's just no way we can realistically make the values of religion work anymore.
Okay, I mean, that's not a very satisfying answer for me to give on a debate stage. But
we're just knocking down the house. The thing is, tech is like a giant wrecking ball that's knocking down the house. Post scarcity is just like it literally cannot work anymore. You can't just ask people to go back to these like really restrictive norms when we literally have freedoms sitting right in front of you. It's like some small clusters of people are going to like kind of desperately cling to it because they need meaning in their life, but the option is still there. They still have the freedom, like in a way that past people didn't. And I think
yeah, but what do you say to the people? What do you say to the people that like want to like religiously then or legally enforce like those old norms? Like people that are talking about making like birth control illegal or abortion illegal, or the more radical like women shouldn't be allowed to work anymore, or like hardcore cultural enforcement of those norms, like shaming women for working or stuff like that.
What do you mean? What do I say to them? Like, I don't think they're gonna succeed.
Is it inconceivable that they could?
I mean, I think it's like succeed small pockets.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, your mic cut out in and out like 20 times in that sentence. Could you say that sentence again?
I'm sorry. In small pockets, they might succeed, but overall, the arc of history is pushing in the opposite direction.
Okay, maybe.
Like, before, people used to be religious when that was the only option. They didn't know anything else. Now you're asking people to be religious when, like, just outside of their door, they can go masturbate without shame. This is way more difficult, and people are not going to feel the same amount of satisfaction from religion when they have the freedom to choose.
I mean, I definitely agree that it's more difficult. I don't know if it's like impossible to like, if people are trying to shame people to going back to that, if it's like a compelling answer to just say they're like, oh well, but look how yeah. I mean, I roughly like
in theory communism is possible, but like you'd have to like pressure a lot of people to do something outside of their nature.
Sure. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm trying to think of like more satisfying answers to give, like on a stage, right? Because saying that, because it almost sounds like my answers are almost sounding totalitarian here. Like, oh well, this is what it is, and you can't fight against the new liberal world order, so get fucked. Well,
it's not even about values. It's just literally just technology. Like, we're going through the thing that happened, like with the Homo sapiens, like discovered fire or whatever the thing is that made our brains explode. Like, it's just like kind of a law of nature, like the nebula, what is it cracking into, or whatever the fuck nebula.
Okay.
I know nebulas do not actually crack into. I just wanted to. I was being creative, okay? Sure. I was being expressive with all this extra meaning I have hanging around.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, well.
Do you want me to ask you weird questions, or are you going to ask me if there's anything else?
Well, I mean, if you want to do that, go for it. I don't know if you have anything else to say on this topic, but yeah.
No, I think you're... are you smarter than him?
we're way past these debates have nothing to do with intelligence. It's just
Yeah, but I didn't ask that.
I think I am, but I don't think that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what I'm people oftentimes ask a question, like they'll juxtapose me with somebody like Andrew Tate, and people will say things like, oh, would you rather have Destiny's lifestyle or would you rather have Andrew Tate's lifestyle? And it's like, for me, like, that's a no-brainer. Like, in my mind, if I lived like these guys, I would be fucking miserable. I want to fucking kill myself. But I think these guys, I think it's a mistake to assume that they're working from your frame of reference. They probably legitimately super love their lives. They probably like the super traditional value roles. They like the submissive, boring, dumb fuck women. Like, they enjoy like just working whatever menial jobs and not thinking too much. Like, that's probably actually super fun for a lot of these people. So I feel like I need to work harder at like having like a better answer in response to their lifestyles. But I don't know like what the clean and easy package is for like, oh, go read fucking Camus and you'll have your life figured out too or whatever. Like, I don't know what to say in response to some guy that's promising you heaven and earth with some stupid fucking 2,000-year-old book. I just don't have a good.
Zen Buddhism is like a whole thing.
Do what?
Zen Buddhism is a whole thing.
Yeah, but I sound like a memer saying that, like, oh, go be a Zen Buddhist, right? Like, I feel like,
but you don't have to stay Zen Buddhist. Like, it is like, it seems to be like relatively culturally successful, like as an actual default option for people.
What are the tenets of lifestyle in Zen Buddhism?
I mean, actual Zen Buddhism kind of sucks. Excuse me. But like, it's like something in that direction.
Okay, what does that mean? Milo, okay, I'm Milo, and I just laid out my whole based argument for Christian nationalism. That when I look at the happiest countries in the world, they organize under this idea of this ethnic homogeneity. That when liberals point to happy countries, they point to places like Scandinavia, where 95% of the population are white. When we look at countries that have had successful histories and everything, it's been under homogenous societies. When I look at the organizing principles of the United States, a lot of law around the world is based on Christian doctrine. That liberals that are trying to escape today are lost. It's why they're all miserable. It's why over 50% of liberal women are on fucking antidepressants. Like, this is why Christian nationalism is the way. Okay, so then what's your response to that? What do you say in response to that?
I would be a meme lord and talk about Zen Buddhism.
You would say, wait, what? Say that.
I would be I would make the tech argument, honestly. I would be like, tech is inevitable. We're going to change. Like, it's sort of like a law of nature that we have this exponential growth here.
Sure, and then I would agree. Then let's say I agree. I say, you're right, that tech thing is inevitable. That's why we need to outlaw it right now. TikTok should be banned. AI research needs to be banned. And we should have a nuclear arms race with other people that are like getting involved in that. We need to have a world agreement, and if you go against AI, we can nuke you. Or some crazy shit like that. We have to fight against the incoming technology because it's destroying our humanity. The AI artists were right. It's not fair.
I mean, honestly, I might agree with that.
Yeah, but okay, you might, but for totally different reasons, right?
Yeah.
Well, and then if you just say you agree with it, now you've lost the whole argument. Now you've ceded everything on stage to him. I said, oh, so even you agree. You understand.
Maybe you're wrong and he's right?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think that like people will point to these like Islamic countries and shit, and sure, they were great at one point in time, but I feel like all the cool, awesome shit that's been produced over the past like 100 years in the world has come from liberal society. Like the ability to like play awesome fucking video games, all of the cool scientific achievements and advancements we've made in the West, all the cool cultural stuff we've done, the awesome movies we've made, the immigration of different people. Somebody like fucking Sneeko, who's got parents from like all over the fucking world, comes to the United States. It becomes like there's so much like cool shit that exists because of liberal society. And I don't think a dogmatic Christian society could have made that kind of stuff. I don't think that like a hyper-authoritarian society could have made that kind of stuff, right? Like,
does this justify people being unhappy?
No, but I feel like the unhappiness thing, the question is, goes back to the very first question I asked you, is it like, is there a good way to counter the unhappiness thing? Or is that just like baked in now to like liberal society? Like actually, if you're going to be liberal, like, you know, people like me want you to be, now we have to accept some huge level of unhappiness.
I'm curious about what your crux is. Like, if it were the case that it is that you just can't like baked in, it is in fact a trade-off that you are less unhappy. Would you change your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I think you'd have to. If it is the case that everybody's going to be fucking miserable, yeah, I don't think that's like an acceptable world. I don't think we can live in that world.
Okay, this makes sense why you're, I think, like so focused on this particular thing. Because I don't think this is a crux for me. I think I would still choose this even if it made people less happy.
Yeah, but most people wouldn't. It would be inherently unstable, I think.
You think that the Christian trad world is more stable?
If it produced happier people, probably, yeah. I think people would revolt or rebel, or there would be like, this would start to break apart at the edges, basically.
Yeah, I think I'm less bullish on that reality.
Okay.
Because you can't undo knowledge. Like, you're asking people to forget.
Could you forcibly? I mean, how much knowledge was lost when like the Library of Alexandria was burned down or whatever?
Yeah, but this is, we're in 2023, man. Like I'm saying that like your argument about choice now applies to religion. Like, more choice makes people sort of unhappy, like greater agency. And I'm saying you can't put that in the bottle. Like, people still have the choice to not be religious. And like, the amount of force that it would take to force everybody to be religious to actually remove that choice is, I think that's like coherent or like reasonable at all. That's like fantasy world.
Do you think it's something that could be built upon over time, that like it's a cultural thing that we push for like really, really, really hard, and that you can eventually shame people and move people in a certain direction, like into being like more trad and shit? That's a possibility? Or no, you think that's just impossible? That's lunacy?
No, I mean, what you're saying is like you give people the choice to either join the trad world or be in the free liberal world, and you're saying like we can force them to make the choice that you want?
Yeah, through cultural pressure, right? Shame people that do these types of things, you know, reward people culturally that participate in the ways of life we want, like.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to work because like I just can't. Like, what does this mean? Like, you make a TV channel where you run movies where the Christians are happy and the
you just do the
atheists
same
are sad?
thing. The same thing progressives have done, just on the other end. Hire teachers that shame students that have children on social media. Just spread messages from people like Andrew Tate. Yeah, your TV shows and your movies, like kind of, you know, gay people are always the villains and shit. Like, yeah, you just do a culture the same way progressives.
Then we have a backlash. Like, much like the progressives, we have like the conservatives who are furious at it. I assume we would still have this atheists that are furious at their religious leaders.
Yeah, you might have the backlash, but I feel like that backlash is only effective if, like, I think that progressives were able to edge out conservatives for a while because progressive lifestyles genuinely did seem better, and the freer choices were better, right? Like, women are being raped by their husbands and nobody believes it's a real thing. Gay people who are just like sticking themselves are perfectly. Yeah.
I think this is the key.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it was better. Like, it won by being better. Like, it won through
like a cultural Darwinism.
People are going to win it. The trad people have to win through it actually being better.
Yeah, but I think right now, I think that like trad cringe Islamic shit is better than like the progressives like 4-year-olds can be trans. Like, I think that is better.
Then maybe they should win.
Well, but there's a third option there that can be like not crazy fucking progressives. That's the one that I try to push for.
Yeah, but like ultimately, to some degree, and this is really messy, but like I kind of believe in like the market of ideology, the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Like, ultimately, if people are genuinely better off in a certain ideology, they'll overall kind of gravitate towards that. And so, like, if the trad people win, like the trad people kind of should win.
Yeah, but they're winning because people are out here like making, like, they're fighting for it, right? Like, I'm one of the, like, this sounds so cringe, but it's not just like, I'm like not a person that sits by and watches like the ideologies change. Like, I'm part of the people that are trying to change the ideology, right? So I'm not, my answer can't just be, oh, well, I'm going to sit here and wait and see what happens. I'm trying to make something happen, right? So what am I trying to make happen? It's not like to continue to go towards like the insane bend that progressives are on right now. Like, that's not what I want to make happen.
I felt like for a second I understood your confusion, but now I forgot what it was. Like the core of it, because it kind of feels like you're like circling around a core of it.
Well, I don't know if there was a confusion there, was there?
Well, you're saying you're like you're the person fighting. You're like the person saying like, well, no, my side is actually better.
Well, you're saying, hold on, I'm sorry. You use like this, like, oh, like I believe in like the marketplace of ideas will win over time, and I agree that that's probably true. But like, I'm part of the, like, I'm like a cultural like commentator, right? Like, I'm not a person who's supposed to sit by and wait for the marketplace of ideas. Like, I'm supposed to be one of like the market movers, right?
Right, because you like genuinely believe in it, because you believe that it is Wait, why are you trying to move the marketplace in favor of an ideology you think is worse? Like, what are you trying to move it? You don't know what you're moving it towards.
Well, I don't want to move it towards a worse thing. Hold on, I'm sorry. You gave the thing. You gave the thing. Wait, fuck. There's a huge echo. I'm sorry. Okay, hello? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry, yeah, I can, yeah. You gave me the argument. You were saying that, like, oh, like, I believe the marketplace of ideas will persevere. And that's true, but that doesn't just happen, like, naturally, right? There are people that are pushing on all sides to like, advocate for certain ideologies and to make them more palatable and to make people believe those things, right? Like, it's not just randomly that progressives won out on the culture war. It's because they probably take part in, like, social sciences. They take part in art more. They take part in culture more than conservatives that sit home and are too retarded to make, like, you know, music or movies, right? It's not an accident that progressives won, but I don't think it's purely just that the lifestyles were better. I think that was a big part of it, but I think a lot of it was like intentional efforts too. Like, we intentionally advocate and push for the lifestyles that we think are the best lifestyles.
These things are tied together, right? Like, like you have the sensation, like, you find a cool product or like a movie and then you want to go and tell your friends about it. Mm-hmm. Like, I think this is an evolved thing. Like, if something is good, you are become a super spreader of this idea.
Yeah.
And so I think like the witnessing, the evangelicalness that you're doing, like, comes out of a genuine belief. This is why I'm confused, because like it seems like you're trying to really strongly evangelicalize something that you don't believe in.
Well, no, I'm trying to evangelicalize like a more tamed version of progressivism, like the the early 2000s like form of liberalism. Basically, is like what I'm pushing for, like the Obama style or the Obama era liberalism, where we want like gay rights and like we want to be more chill towards immigrants. Like that's like the stuff that I'm kind of like pushing for.
Do you believe it provides enough meaning? Like, is it better than the Islam person, the Muslim?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. For most people, I think it would. Yeah. Because I feel like...
What is their meaning system?
I feel like... I don't know specifically what the meaning system is, but I feel like society was still enough on rails in terms of like gender roles and family values and stuff. I feel like we were still enough on rails there, that there was enough there for people to kind of like grasp and tangle with, that made them feel... like they were living life and doing things. Like back then, like experimenting with your sexuality was like being... Do you remember the metrosexual phase?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, this is like, I'll do this through the lens of the trans stuff, right? I feel like in the 90s and in the 2000s, we like dramatically blew open what genders could do while still being male or female, right? Like Girl Next Door and tomboys were hot girls, but they were still like girls. They were still women, right? Or for men, like you could actually start taking care of your appearance and you could, you know, wear jewelry and stuff. And you were like metrosexual, like boy bands were doing it, rappers were doing it, you know, and that was cool. But now it's like it's all gone like a step further to where those things before were giving us more like they were like giving us more options for like our gender identities in like fun and cool ways. But now it's like no, now they're like totally new gender identities, and now everything's been like torn down and destroyed, right? Like now you're not just a tom girl. Now you're like an egg waiting to be cracked to realize that you're like transgender, and that type of stuff. I feel like it's way more difficult for people to find meaning in that than it was for other stuff. That's just like for one example, for like a general thing. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so you were saying that like, okay, you don't like the metaphysical, ethical, and whatever moral, what I don't remember, things that like religion does, and you want to offer a different thing, but you can't offer like the Zen enlightenment whatever because most people aren't capable of it, and you don't know what their replacement is. However, you just outlined a kind of culture that sounded to you like a good replacement. So in what way does that culture have like, what is their like meta ethical, whatever the fucking words you used, I forget. What is their system that you just described? It
feels like, and I could be wrong, but it feels like in like the 90s and the 2000s, we were basically Christians in all but name. So like we still had this like pretty strong like moral compass. We still cherished like our family values, you know, we still like say like men and women. Like we had kind of all of these things that were more or less like Judeo-Christian. Yeah, but we kind of didn't call it that, or we called it like atheists, I guess, basically, or like
so we were arguing for something like neo-Christianity.
Yeah, but like I don't know what do you mean by that.
I don't know. I'm making up a term. It sounds like you just described a thing that was like neo-Christian, like a modern, like Christianity in all but name or something, or in name only or something.
Yeah, but calling it Christianity kind of defeats the whole purpose of this entire thing, because then people say, why not just be Christian and we can be trad?
Well, it doesn't feel like it. Do you just want a different word?
Well, ideally, I don't want the belief system, right? and I don't want all the like ugly baggage that comes along with like religion, like the misogyny and the shitty fucking
because you're looking for an alternative, and then you just described something that you thought was a good alternative.
Yeah, but it wasn't actually like Christianity, right? Like when I say,
well, what was it? What,
when I say, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, what is the epistemic and moral system of the culture that you think is better?
The moral stuff is basically like everything was basically inherited from Christianity. We just like didn't call it that or treat it that way.
Yeah, it sounds like you want like a neo Christianity.
Yeah, but like without all the God stuff. I don't know if you can have any form of Christianity without all the God stuff.
Like Unitarianism?
I don't know. Is that a thing that people actually believe in?
Unitarianism is kind of like super light Christianity church.
Interesting. I don't know.
Maybe you're Unitarian, and that is the better moral system.
Yeah, maybe. Do you think you can sell that to people?
Yeah, it sounds like your incentives here are mixed, because like you're kind of thinking about this from a combination of like trying to win a debate, also truth finding, which I think are at odds.
Well, it's not about winning a debate necessarily. Like it is about winning a debate, but it's not winning a debate against Milo. It's convincing a person that's listening to me why this value system should supersede like the weird Islam Christianity shit that everybody's trying to sell you nowadays. And the question is like, can you make a good and compelling argument for that? That's like the question.
In all of this, I feel very confused about what you believe, because it sounds like you believe something.
It's not about it's not about what I believe. What I believe isn't good enough for most people. That's the problem, right? Because what I believe,
what do you believe is good for most people?
Well, I don't know. That was part of my conversation with you, is figuring that out. Like, what do most people need? That's part of the reason why I asked you, like, why are you content with your life when you don't have like a lot of the traditional like religious markers and everything like that?
Okay, so you're doing like a survey right now to figure out.
Yeah, I'll probably ask like a bunch of people like why, like what are the things that make you feel content in life, or like why are you happy? Like I have to find a bunch of atheists to like ask this question to, who don't fucking hate life or whatever.
Yeah, I'm like a pretty normal and representative sample of the population.
That was sarcastic, right?
That was in fact sarcastic.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Okay.
I don't know why you asked me.
Well, because you're one of the, because it's very, 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 very hard to find people that would call themselves content. Or maybe it's more common in your sphere. But for me, it's I can think of like two other people that I'm probably going to ask this question to. Like, do you know a lot of people in your circle? Go ahead.
Yeah, but they're also weird. Like, they also went through some sort of like psychedelic or meditative journey. What stereotype do you think is really accurate?
For who? What do you mean in particular?
Like in general.
Well, like in general, I mean, what, like Fords suck, or like people that drive BMWs don't use their turn signal? What do you mean? That's a really broad question.
Yeah, like that. Like other people.
There's probably a lot of them that I would say are fairly accurate. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, like men and women like probably approach relationships in slightly different ways. I think that men on average are probably stronger than women and more prone to aggression, probably. Like those types of things, or?
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have asked you that. I think in the same way that you shouldn't have asked me why I'm content.
Wait, is there something more particular that you wanted to?
No.
Kill yourself. I hate you right now.
I'm gonna go do it, make you feel bad.
Yeah.
And then you'll never actually have a higher win ratio to me in Type Racer.
Well, we obviously, the more we type, the worse your ratio will get. It's pretty obvious, I think.
So I gotta stop now. Okay. I should probably go because it's really late.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Are you doing anything fun tomorrow? I'm making small talk so that it doesn't seem like we ended on a huge disagreement, okay?
Did we end on a huge disagreement?
Well, right now we're disagreeing on whether we ended over a huge disagreement. So.
Oh man, fuck you.
Fill us in. What's going on in the world of Aella?
This bridge.
Good, yeah, you will.
Orbiter down.
Yeah, orbiter down. Your stocks are plummeting right now.
Ugh. I'm selling all my own stocks right now.
Good, I'm glad.
No, I don't know. I wanted to be here when you read my frame control article at some point.
Oh yeah, I still have it up. We're gonna read it. I finally read that American Life article, or the liberal conservative one yesterday, so I've got yours up. We'll read it soon.
The one that you sent me?
Yeah. It just takes a long time to read on stream, because...
Yeah, it's okay.
Fuck you.
I know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, have fun, be careful. Thanks for the conversation. Bye.